There seems to be a problem with tech YouTube and the tech community in general, and I don't exactly know when or where this exactly started. It's really hard to pinpoint, but essentially overall cynicism and harsh negativity has started to become synonymous with honesty. And personally, I don't think that's a very good thing at all. All of this seems to be cyclical in terms of both creators and consumers, because it seems like it's hard to blame one party or the other as to why we've come to think like this in the tech community as a whole. And I'm not going to delve into the specifics of different creators and different types of tech content, because overall I think this kind of applies in the tech space in general, in terms of reviews and opinion pieces, less so with sponsored pieces, because I think that's a different matter entirely. But when it comes to reviews and opinion pieces, I feel like the whole idea of cynicism equals honesty has kind of gotten out of control. Nowadays, it seems like showing true excitement towards a product or positively engaging with a product or a brand is seen as complete and utter brand loyalty and just sheep behavior. And to some people, it seems like the creator who creates positive content has this kind of ulterior motive, when in actuality, that's not the case. People just like things and they like to share their passion, and to some people that's seen as complete dishonesty. Now the funny thing to that is the opposite isn't always the same, because if the creator is completely disparaging a product or just being overly cynical about a product or a brand, to some viewers that's seen as complete and utter honesty, because to them it seems like that creator is putting the brand in their place, when in actuality all they're doing is just blowing negative aspects way out of proportion and ultimately just weighing the entire review or their entire opinion negatively for the sake of views and engagement. And that's something I want to talk about as well, because as I said earlier, there seems to be this whole give and take thing between creators and consumers as a whole. Because on one hand, viewers are less likely in general to watch a video if there's like this lack of controversy, whereas on the other hand, creators are feeding this whole beast of negativity and cynicism for the sake of getting better engagement. And that is a really easy trap to fall into, especially as a new creator. The barrier to entry to becoming a content creator is so low nowadays, because you can just sit in front of a camera or sit in front of your phone and talk to potentially millions of like-minded people about your views, your perspectives, your opinions, your just overall passion for technology. And that is such a good thing. It's so cool, because you can essentially create a community out of thin air. I'm going to use myself as an example here, because slowly but surely over the past couple of years, I've grown a significant follower base on TikTok where I talk about tech content, and over that time I've started to create brand relationships with Apple, Google, and Microsoft. And that is just so cool. The fact that I can turn something I love into essentially a job, and that is just so cool in my opinion. Like that will never get old for me. But again, like I said before, it's easy to fall into that trap as a new creator, into that whole thing of cynicism equals honesty, and that is something I'm trying my hardest not to fall into, and not to basically create hit pieces for the sake of views and engagement, because that type of engagement is like, it can be bountiful. You can get heaps of engagement from doing that, but ultimately you're doing a disservice to the entire tech community and to people who are genuinely watching your content and trying to make purchasing decisions, because to them that type of content is not helpful whatsoever. Now, I'm not saying be positive all the time as a creator and always expect positive reviews and positive opinions from a creator from a perspective of a viewer, because positivity at the expense of the truth is definitely not a good thing. But I have noticed that when creators do bring up negative sentiments about a product or about a brand, things seem to go one of two ways. Firstly, we have the creators who are doing their best to be fair and just honest with their reviews. And if they do come across any negative experiences surrounding a product, they try their best to use sound logic and reasoning to express their negative criticisms in a way that's actually constructive. Overall, that review could be positive, because even though products have flaws, those flaws might not break the entire user experience, and that's expected, because even the best products have their flaws, and most people understand that. But then there's this significant faction of viewers who see that overall positivity as the creator being too positive and not being negative enough, and therefore they must be dishonest because they weren't cynical enough. That's a type of viewer, and that's the type of scenario that is ever more present in this tech community. Adding on to that, I've also seen the sentiment amongst viewers of creators not showing the same energy towards one product as they would the other. And in many cases, that is very sound judgment from viewers. But in some cases, that whole not showing the same energy argument doesn't make much sense. Like, just a quick example, two products could have the same flaw, technically speaking, but that same flaw in both of those products might not render the exact same degradation in the user experience, because that flaw in product A might not be as big of a deal as that same flaw in product B. So showing the same energy to both of those flaws in both of those products wouldn't really make much sense if the overall experience doesn't translate that flaw directly one-to-one. That's the type of thing I'm talking about. Now, moving on to that second instance of negativity showing up in content, and that could be when a creator is going out of their way to disparage a product or a brand for the sake of views, attention, and engagement. And honestly, that is far more damaging overall than the first type of negativity, which is actual negative constructive criticism, whereas this type of negativity is literally just for the sake of views and engagement, which is far more damaging. Admittedly, this type of controversial negative content can be fun and spicy, kind of like tech TMZ in a way. But it's not constructive at all, and all it does is it satiates the haters of these brands who view this content as fuel for their brand wars, but it also, much more importantly, alienates people who are actually looking for genuine buying advice, because it entirely skews their perspectives on whatever they're trying to purchase. Because think about this, for example, a random average viewer clicks on a video thinking it's an honest review, and what they end up watching is a hit piece on a product. But the comments under that video don't really help establish that, because the comments are basically fueling the engagement, the brand wars, the controversy, and this viewer ends up having this negative sentiments towards that product because now they've seen what is essentially a hit piece on that product. And let's say that the viewer goes on to watch more reviews from smaller creators who are using negativity and cynicism to drive the point of honesty, while at the same time using that controversy to get better engagement and all that. It's just a very disparaging cycle. And again, I get it. It's hard as a small creator to grow a following without a level of excitement and controversy, because this market is just so saturated. But it ends up being at the expense of true kind of journalistic integrity, if that makes sense, if you're actually trying to be honest with your perspectives. But anyway, let's say that ultimately after all of that, that viewer finds a video where the reviewer is actually fairly based and just fair with their judgments. At this point, that fair review ends up looking a bit positively skewed, because that reviewer isn't using clickbait titles and just overall negativity and cynicism to drive home the point of honesty, because they're actually being honest with their thoughts and their opinions. But to the viewer, that reviewer seems a bit positively skewed, and it may seem like they have this underlying agenda even though they don't. They're just showing the product as it is and not using clickbait titles and controversy to drive home the point of honesty, because they're being honest without being overly negative. I'm getting a little too far into the weeds here, but basically what I'm trying to say is that genuine honesty is being put to the sideline in favor of honesty in the name of negativity and cynicism. And the thing is that negativity and controversy is always sold, like it always has throughout mankind, because people are more willing to click on something that's negative than something that is true, honest, and might end up being positive, because nowadays this whole culture seems to shift in the name of negativity equals honesty versus genuine experiences equals honesty. And it's true more than ever now in the tech space, because we're seeing a little plateau in terms of just tech innovation and tech development, and people are finding a different outlet to express that in the whole controversy of tech as opposed to the honesty of tech. Now, the overall message I'm trying to say isn't don't be cynical, because you should always be cynical to an extent, especially when it comes to people you're watching on the internet, because you don't personally know these people. They could be like anyone in particular. But it's important to get your views from multiple different creators instead of locking yourself into an echo chamber of negativity and controversy and just cynicism, because that doesn't help anyone at all. But if you expand your horizons and consume content from multiple creators, that kind of just lowers the chance that you'll fall into a trap of cynicism equals honesty, and actually find creators who are honest and who are really just genuine with their perspectives and opinions, because we need more of that in the tech space, and hopefully my video makes sense in that regard. Anyway, my name's Ramal. Thank you so much for watching. This was just a quick video. I had to get this off my mind, because this has just kind of been weighing on me for the past couple of months. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed. If you have any thoughts or extra opinions to add, just feel free to add them in the comments, like, subscribe, do all that jazz. And yeah, I'll catch you in the next one.